Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, top 1 financial advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. This is the absolute safest investment on earth, and they are guaranteed. They are treasuries. They are backed by the full faith and credit of the United States, which means that as long as the U.S. collects taxes, these investments are going to pay out. And the U.S. has always paid its bills. Unless you fight over the debt ceiling and then we don't pay our bills, but we passed it, so everything's fine. Everything's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and break down what treasuries are, give you a little bit about how they work and why and how they can fit into your portfolio. All right, so treasuries, again, short for, the United States Treasury. And they come in 3 primary flavors. That is treasury bills, treasury notes, and treasury bonds. The differences between these, really the main difference rather, is its maturity date or the maturity options. Meaning that, let's just take a regular bond. How a regular bond works is you say, look, for 4 weeks, you give me some money, you loan this money to me. At the end of 4 weeks, I'll give you your money plus your interest. That is the benefit to you. So for example, you give me $1,000 at the end of 4 weeks, I give you $1,000, the money you gave me, plus another $10. You got, $10 in interest. Great for you, okay? And it's guaranteed. As long as I'm collecting taxes, you're gonna get your money. So with a treasury bill, the maturity ranges between 4 weeks up to a year. Okay, 4 weeks to a year for treasury bills. When you move up to treasury notes, then that is 2 years to 10 years. And you can pick whatever range works for you. And then you go up to the highest level, which is treasury bonds, which is 20 years or 30 years. There's no range there. You either get a 20-year bond or a 30-year bond, and that's it. Now you can buy these bonds, hold on to them for as long as you choose, and then you can sell it if you want. But you want to pay attention to whether or not you get all of your interest, what the prices of the bonds are, so on and so forth. But that is the primary mechanism. The other thing too, for treasury bills, the shortest maturity, you're going to get your interest at the end of that term. So you have to wait the full 4 weeks or whatever maturity date that you chose. Wait until the end, you get your interest there. With the other two, you're going to get your interest every 6 months, which makes sense. Who wants to wait until the end of 20 years to get their interest, as opposed to every 6 months, I get my interest, which is my income. I can go and spend it and do whatever it is that you want to do. Why would you consider investing in these? Well, one, right now in 2023, they're paying pretty solid. Okay, anywhere between 3 to 5%, depending on where you're looking and what you're looking for, which isn't bad for a guaranteed income stream. Now, these do change because years ago, didn't nobody want these bonds because they weren't really paying well, and that's because interest rates were low. But as interest rates are rising, locking in a 3, 4, 5% interest investment, that's not the worst thing in the world. So if you are looking for something that is guaranteed safe and is going to pay you money, that's a decent place to look. Now, you don't want to put all of your money there, and the reason is because there are some downsides, but also, if the market is paying 10% and you're only getting 3, might not be the best math for you, but a portion of your money absolutely could make sense. Which one do you get depends on what your goals are. For example, for me, if I know for a fact that I'm going to take a vacation next year and I know I want to lock in a pretty solid interest rate, then maybe I'll go for a treasury bill, lock it up, get my money, get my interest, and then I can go on my vacation next year. If I know that, let's say, my investment mix, my asset allocation is supposed to be 50% stocks and 50% bonds, well, I might want to go with a U.S. Treasury bond because I'm going to retire in X amount of time, and I can lock it up and say, look, I'm absolutely going to get X amount of interest, and that's going to help me to retire. So a portion of your money can absolutely make sense. It's going to depend, as all things in finance, depend on what your goals are, how the rest of your money is invested, and what you are looking to do. But again, guaranteed interest, you're going to get your money back as long as we keep passing these debt ceiling bills, and you are going to be okay. How do you get access to these? There are 2 primary ways. You have the primary market, meaning you go to treasurydirect.gov. It's not the sexiest website at all, but you can go and you can buy them there, which are, it's direct. You get it directly from them. You set up an account, it's relatively easy, and you can buy and sell them as well on that website. When you say, look, I don't want it anymore, you can sell it back to the government. Now, you can do that. Okay, that's one way. The second way is through the secondary market, meaning people have already sold them and you get to pick up what's left over. There are pros and cons to doing this, but you can get it on public now. You can go to Fidelity, Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade, and all those other places. The advantage or disadvantage from buying it on the secondary market is now you're subject to whatever the market price is, which can vary based on what the news is, what the Fed says, and all that kind of stuff. The only way that you can lose money in treasuries is one, inflation. Okay, that is still a thing. So if I buy a treasury bond and it's going to pay me 3%, but inflation is 6%, which it is, right, then technically I would have lost some money. So you can lose money to inflation with these. But remember, we've done an episode on this. There are I bonds in which you would not lose money due to inflation, but that is a separate category. Okay, we're just talking about treasuries, all right? Now, back to our treasuries, that you have the inflation risk, but also if I sell it in the meantime, let's say I buy a T-note, right? That's the one from 2 years to 10 years. And I say, after 3 years, I want to get rid of it. Well, the value that I can sell it for on the open market at year 3 could be lower than what I paid for it. I could lose money that way. And sometimes, depending on where the market is, I can make even more money by selling it in between before it matures. So those are the two primary risks. The other risk is you can sell it and lose out on your interest. Let's say in a T-note or T-bill or something like that, and you didn't get that last interest payment because you sold it before you got it. That could be a risk as well. And obviously having your money tied up for 2 years can be a risk too. But usually when you are investing in something that you know is going to take 2 years, it's going to take 5 years, 10 years, whenever, you usually should know, like, I don't need this money, right? That's the whole point of putting it away for an investment like that. But that's the basics. That's really the basics. Do I own any treasuries currently? Yes. The reason why I kind of hesitate is I have like $100 in the treasury in my public account. Okay, that's it. Now the reason why I don't currently own a whole bunch is one, I am relatively young, so the majority of my money is in the stock market. Number two, the other half of it is right now a lot of savings accounts are paying very close to what a treasury can get you. So I think the example that I brought up last week is my American Express savings account is paying 4%. Okay, so I can get 4% now and have access to it if I need to. It is still FDIC insured, and I can see it and I can access it whenever I need to, and I can add more money to it every time I get paid or whenever I feel like it, compared to having to go through Treasury Direct, having my money locked up for a very specified amount of time and get 4.5. Like, is that 0.5 really worth it? Or in some cases, like a T-bill, I may get paid less and get like 3.6 or something like that. Right? And then have all of these stipulations around it. So right now, to me, and this is just my personal view on it, if I get a savings account that's paying very close to what a treasury is getting, I'm gonna go with the savings account. I would say 8 times out of 10. 80% of the time, I'm probably gonna go with savings. It's just more accessible. And then the most important thing for me is I can continue adding to it. Once you get that treasury bond, that's it. You have to go get a second one, which is going to have a different maturity to continue investing if you choose to. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It all depends on what your preference is and what you're trying to do. If you're somebody who says, hey, when I see my savings, I tend to take money out when I'm not supposed to, then maybe a treasury is going to fit for you, where you know for a fact you're locking it up for X amount of time and you're not supposed to touch it. There are people who prefer treasury.gov because it's not sexy and you kind of forget about it, where they put that money away and it works for them. So it really depends on what works for you. The advantage, again, is it is guaranteed. The U.S. has always paid its bill, so you don't really have to be concerned about losing money if, keyword if, you're going to hold it all the way through maturity. So that's it. That is the basics of what you need to know about treasuries. I mean, there really isn't too many advanced concepts out there on it, but it is a good investment to know about. It is one of the very, very few handful of things that you can say that are guaranteed and that are safe and that you're not going to lose money. That's it. The list is not long, right? You can throw in I bonds in there, which again, we've done an entire segment on. Those are inflation protected bonds, so you get to beat inflation there. But that's it. There aren't that many. Now, there are others that pay more, but obviously those are going to have a higher risk of loss as well. Last thing I'll say is, as always, you want a mix of things that are safe, like treasuries, and things that are a bit more risky, but can also has also shown a propensity, a likelihood, or a track record of long-term growth and success, like the stock market. So it's really finding out what that blend is for you based on where you are, what you're trying to do when you're looking to retire. All right. That is it for me. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And this was a question that was in the comments from last week. If you have one, let me know. This is what I like to do, is to answer your questions. All right, that's it for me. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you check out our members only. I've been posting some stock analysis and some thoughts on a few companies that are relatively popular right now, including NVIDIA. We talked about Marvell as well, and I did an entire post about those. So the last two have been post in case people are used to video, what YouTube is for, but it's a lot easier to kind of crank out things and just type it out. So if you are in the members only, make sure you go and check those out because those are extremely valuable. We did one on Ulta as well, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. All right, that is it for me. I will talk to y'all tomorrow.